podcast with Peter DiBiasi and John Rocco Trumpbour right here on YouTube. Guys, welcome back to another episode. It's been about a month. Our last episode you saw was our NBA season preview. This time we're going to stick to the NBA topic. We're going to be giving you the surprises and disappointments, in our opinion, so far of the NBA season. NBA season's been almost about a quarter of the way done. So there's been a couple surprises, like I just said, and a couple of disappointments. So if you clicked on this video, that is what you're going to get. Jerry, got anything to say?
Yeah, guys, we're 12 subscribers away from 1,000. And if you've been watching me and Pete over the past videos, you know it's a huge goal of ours to reach 1,000. Huge milestone for us. So please, if you're watching this, please throw us a subscribe. We only need 12 more to get that 1,000. We really appreciate it. We love doing this. We'll keep putting out more content. We always do. And please follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Talking Sports PD. On Instagram, and Twitter, we're going to be putting out more content, more interactive posts. So please follow us on that and keep up to date with our videos and content.
Yeah, guys, subscribe goes a long, long way. Also, if you want to like Jared said, and comment, just to support the video, that means a lot. Instagram and Twitter, as always, content's always flowing there. And if you do want to listen to us on Apple Podcasts, every single episode that's on YouTube is also on Apple Podcasts. So, guys, we're going to get to the video today. NBA surprises and NBA disappointments. Jared and I are both pretty big NBA fans, and the season has kind of gotten off to a very fast start. Each team is about 15 to 17 roughly games through the season. And all stats, just to point this out before we get into it, all stats and all standing and all record predictions, I think everything we give you that are stat-based is based off Tuesday, November 23rd. So if this video comes out after, which it will, the stats might be a little skewed. So understand that it's based off November 23rd and nothing's going to really change enough. But JR, we're going to do a handful of surprises, a handful of disappointments. We'll stick with surprises for the first half of the show. Give me your first surprise of the 2021-2022 NBA season.
Yeah, so my first surprise is going to be Miles Bridges and LaMelo Ball's play this year. So Miles Bridges, I've never seen as a guy who's going to be a 20 points per game scorer. I've always seen him as kind of a role player, guy on the team that's going to throw down some slams and just kind of feed off, the stars' energy and, play through someone else. However, this year, Miles Bridges is averaging 20.8 points per game, 7.4 rebounds, 3.3 assists, which is a huge increase. This is only on 7 minutes more than last year's per game averages. And last year, he came from 12.7 points per game, 6 rebounds, and 2 assists. So he's literally increased in every, major category. And this is a huge surprise for me because I've never seen Miles Bridges as, a main scorer. I'm pretty sure he's leading the team in scoring this year. Always see him as maybe he's playing with LaMelo. He's going to do some pick and rolls, get some dunks, but never give him the ball and let him score. So I think this is a huge surprise for me, and maybe a lot of you guys as well. And then plus a LaMelo Ball, not as much of a surprise, but I just think it's crazy how in the second year he's already averaging like 28 and 8. It's just kind of crazy. Everyone had high expectations for LaMelo, but to be able to increase his play, even last year he played very well, and to increase it more in like every major category on only 5 minutes extra per game, I think that's pretty remarkable. And he's definitely looking like an all-star this year, and definitely a superstar in the future. And he's doing this only on 5 minutes increase of minutes. So those are my first two main surprises. I mean, group them in as one with the Hornets, but mostly Miles Bridges. I would never expected this year. If someone told me, Miles Bridges is going to average 20 points per game next year, I would have been like, yeah, I'll take that bet. But he's doing really well. Hopefully, maybe it's early in the season, but hopefully he'll keep it up. LaMelo, I'm pretty sure he'll probably keep this up, similar stat line throughout the year. And who knows, maybe the Hornets are going to be 5th or 4th in the East come playoff time.
I like your surprises. Obviously LaMelo, we kind of saw the progression, like that it's gonna keeps on the trajectory that he did from rookie year, that he's gonna get here eventually, maybe a little sooner. Miles Bridges is probably the bigger surprise, because I always liked Miles Bridges, but I always thought he was a 6th man, 7th man, give you like 8 to 9 and a dunker, and you'll
exactly
pop up on House of Highlights on Instagram once a week because he'll throw a crazy dunk down. not like a legit player that can actually contribute to you winning. So Miles Bridges, props to him because lottery pick, a lot of potential, and now he's kind of finally put that together. And I always like when players eventually put it together. I think that's always a cool story.
Reminded me like the Aaron Gordon type of career, you know. Aaron Gordon
Exactly.
came out of college as like a dunker, and then he started averaging the leading scorer for like the Magic, you know.
Yeah, and
Underrated.
it also takes some time for some people to develop their game because like Aaron Gordon and Miles Bridges, they only played 1 year of college, so they didn't really have that time. And that's only 30 games. NBA season is 82 games, so you gotta sometimes players are not obviously ready right away. Not like LaMelo, Luka Doncic, Trae Young, players like that. Sometimes it takes time, and a lot of players don't get the time. So happy Miles Bridges did, and he's developing into a nice solid NBA player. My first surprise of the year or the season is the Chicago Bulls and DeMar DeRozan. So if you guys watched our NBA season preview, I picked the Chicago Bulls to finish sixth in the Eastern Conference. And I'm a Bulls fan, so I thought that was kind of right where they were. I think you picked them either seventh or eighth, I want to say.
Yeah, I picked them like sixth, seventh, I
Yes,
believe.
we both had them around the back end of the playoffs in the Eastern Conference. Right now, obviously, it's only been 18 games for them. They did lose last night on the Monday, November 22nd, but they're currently second in the Eastern Conference and 12-6. So I think that is a huge thing. And also in this group of my surprises is DeMar DeRozan. I'll get to him in a quick second. But the Bulls are 12-6, second in the Eastern Conference. They're led by two of the top 10 scorers in sense of points per game in Zach LaVine and DeMar DeRozan. They've missed Nikola Vucevic for the last 6 to 7 games, and they still managed to be over 500. He's one of the best top 5, top 7 centers in the NBA. The addition of Alex Caruso, and I want to be the first one to say I was not on board for that. Jared, remember?
I remember that.
Jared
Yeah.
remembers where we were and when I said I was not on board, but not having him last night against the Pacers on the Monday, they lost. He's been a very vital off the bench defensively. He's also started some games at power forward. It's been very interesting how they have used him. He can score, but that's not what he's used for. He's a great defender. He's one of the best steals man. That's a weird sentence. Steals man in the NBA. So he's been great. Kobe White just came back. He's kind of worked his way into the line. He's going to be very good off the bench because he can give you about 15 points per game, and he's going to be vital off the bench to kind of run that second unit. But Billy Donovan's done a great job with this team. Obviously, they were disappointing against the Pacers last night, but 12-6, second in the Eastern Conference, and I think that is great. And I want to quickly say DeMar DeRozan's surprise. I know I said the Bulls, but DeMar DeRozan's averaging 26.3 points per game, 5.2 rebounds per game, and 4 assists per game. I always liked DeMar DeRozan. I always enjoyed the signing. I thought that kind of brought a little more competitiveness to the Bulls. And I didn't think we were going to be title contenders. I don't know if we're still title contenders because it's way too early. But I always thought the Bulls needed to get back into the competitive. They were not competitive for 4 to 5 years. DeMar DeRozan got them there. But I didn't think he'd be top 5, top 6 in scoring. And there's this Instagram account called Bulls Talk on Twitter account on Twitter. And DeMar DeRozan, according to Bleacher Report, was voted the worst signing in free agency. So every time DeMar DeRozan has a good game, they retweet that tweet and add points per game to his total. So it's awesome to see that because he's been like Toronto Raptors, DeMar DeRozan. Not even like Toronto Raptors when they were making the Eastern Conference Finals, Eastern Conference Semis with Kyle Lowry a handful of years back. So DeMar DeRozan has kind of turned back the clock, and he's probably one of the main reasons the Bulls are 12-6 right now.
Yeah, and when they signed him, I know me and you were not big on DeMar DeRozan, but we like respected him and like knew his game. A lot of people just hate on him because he's not like the typical 3-point shooter, and that's what the NBA's turned into. But he's a pure scorer. But I mean, I knew it was gonna be a good signing, but I did not see top 5 MVP candidate when they signed him. So that was pretty remarkable and big surprise, definitely.
Quickly before we get to you, I agree. Like nobody thought he was gonna be a good 3-point shooter, but 26 points per game is 26 points per game, no matter how you get to it. It doesn't really matter. His mid-range, and people are jokingly, it's not true, obviously. It's not as easy as a layup, but it looks to him as easy as a layup shooting that mid-range jump shot. He's so efficient, and it's a breath of fresh air because you see so many 3-point shooters, Steph Curry, Trae Young, the list goes on. Everybody shoots threes. DeMar DeRozan kind of old school, brings you back to the 90s and kind of takes it to the hole and just consistently shoots mid-range. So that's very cool. Jared, what is your second surprise of the NBA season?
Yeah, so my second surprise is another team in the Eastern Conference. There's the Washington Wizards. They starting out 11-6, which is fourth in the East, and for a long time, I'm pretty sure they were number one in the East, or number two around there. And this is a team that they lost Russ. Typical NBA fan, if you ask them, they only know Bradley Beal on this team. Not a typical, but an average casual watcher is only going to really know Bradley Beal on this team. And he's the primary scorer. However, they have 5 players averaging double figures points. That's Beal, Harrell, Dinwiddie, Kuzma, and Caldwell Pope. Dinwiddie, when they signed him, thought they gave him a little too much money for what he was worth. I see him more as like a 6-man. However, he's taken that lead point guard role. And this team, yes, they do have that star scorer in Bradley Beal. However, they have just a bunch of not role players, but good team players like Harrell, Kuz, Caldwell, who just they're not going to blow you away by getting 20 plus points per game. However, they could score when they need to, and it's not like they need the ball in their hand, which is why I think it works well. Because when Bradley Beal is making moves, it's not just the defense focuses on him to score. It's he could pass it off to Kuzma for a 3. He could dump it down the Harrell for the post, you know. So release some defensive pressure off Beal, and he's able to make more efficient plays and get more opportunities. But the main focus here for me is Montrezl Harrell. I loved them on the Clippers when the Clippers made that playoff push with SGA, when they had before Kawhi and Paul George. He was really good. I watched him play. I'm like, this guy's really good. He goes to the Lakers. He barely played, especially in the playoffs. He didn't really get many minutes. Now he's on the Wizards, and he's averaging 17.8 points per game, 9 rebounds per game. And that's not even it. He's 4th in player efficiency, only behind Jokic, Giannis, and Jimmy Butler this year, which is kind of crazy because you don't really pit him with those names, or you don't really think of him as a high efficient player. However, I think with this new team, new environment, he's starting to get his confidence back and playing at a high level. So yeah, the Wizards, they're a surprise right now. However, I do see them. My friend from college, he's a big Wizards fan, and he's really high on them right now, but I don't see them keeping it up for the whole year. I see them being maybe make the playoffs, but I see them maybe falling a little bit and little reality comes in. However, right now, new team, I think teams are trying to figure out how to scheme against them because it's all new. But right now, really big surprise, 4th in the East. Would have never expected it. Didn't even think about them pitting them in my playoff bracket.
I agree, and I think the cool thing about the Wizards, I know it's probably gonna be tough for them to stick top 5 in the East because teams will get better progressively as the season goes on. But if they make the playoffs, I think it's a positive year for the Wizards. Obviously, Bradley Beal, and you lose Russ, you don't have John Wall anymore. You got a bunch of, I would say, role players, maybe outside Spencer Dinwiddie because he's probably better than a role player.
Mm-hmm.
But the Wizards done a great job, and I think that's a great storyline for this year. My second surprise of the year, I'm going to go to the rookie ranks. I'm going Scotty Barnes of the Toronto Raptors. And I know Jared's giving me a little smile right now because Jared, not a huge Scotty Barnes guy. I wasn't a huge Scotty Barnes guy. We saw him play live. We both saw him in the Sweet 16 against Michigan when Florida State got run over by Michigan, but he just wasn't an efficient points per game. Like, he couldn't really score. He just looked kind of like a big player that had athletic ability and that could dribble. Never really saw the scoring out of him. Well, that is why we don't work as an NBA GM, because he can score. He's 1st in points per game as a rookie. He's tied with Evan Mobley. He's averaging 14.6 points per game. That's very good as a rookie. He also has 8.3 rebounds per game and 3.5 assists. And I think this is just, I don't know, he's not having like the greatest year ever, obviously, but he's having a very efficient year. He's kind of running his offense. He's kind of adapted to the NBA game more than you and I ever thought. And he's kind of like that point forward, if you get what I'm saying. Like, he's not a point guard. He's not a power forward. He's kind of in between. And he's been very efficient this year. Obviously, the Raptors are still 8-10, so they haven't done a lot. Obviously, they've missed OG Anunoby, and then they've missed Pascal Siakam. So he's had to actually carry the load a lot. 2 of their best players, obviously, they don't have Kyle Lowry anymore. And 2 of their best players are really haven't been here. And you have a guy in Scotty Barnes who's been top notch this year. And I think it's just very enlightening for a team that we thought they drafted him too high. They drafted him at 4. They could have got Jalen Suggs, who's had a solid year, average 11.8 points per game, but up and down, inefficient year. So they could have got Jalen Suggs or Josh Giddey or Jonathan Kuminga, somebody like that. And we were disappointed that they went Scotty Barnes. But so far, they're about 15, 20 games. He's been very efficient. He's kind of worked out more than I actually thought, and anybody has actually thought. And look, it's good because the Raptors are going to need pieces because they're not contending right now. Even though I had them picked to make the playoffs, they're 8-10, so they're right on the outside. It's still very early, but they need Siakam, they need Anunoby back. But Scotty Barnes, right now, if the season ends today, he might win Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned him because he was actually one of my surprises. But I have another one. But yeah, like you said, I know me and you during the mock draft, we were just not high on him. We saw him in person against Michigan. If you wouldn't even have realized that he was playing if you were just casual watching. You wouldn't realize, oh, Scotty Barnes is going to be a top 5 pick. He was kind of irrelevant in that game. And like you said, he's scoring. I feel like some players, college, like they do okay, but then they just blossom in the NBA for some reason. I don't know if it's pace of play or just style. But yeah, Scotty Barnes, you mentioned like all his stats and stuff. He's also just he's locking up the best players like on the other team as a rookie, whether it's Paul George, whether it's Curry. He even guarded Curry. Like you could just see that he's going to be in this league for a while, and that's not something I expected because I thought he was just going to be defense. He's going to be okay at defense, but he's going to be like a Michael Kidd-Gilchrist maybe, like good at defense, but he's not really giving anything else of value to the team. However, I think the Raptors were the perfect fit for him. With this team, it's not like they give him the ball. They're not really high expectations this year at all. And they kind of there's room for error and they know he's going to be growing. So it's not like a 100% win now mentality and he's coming off the bench or something. But yeah, so I agree with that pick. However, so my other surprise, it's kind of like a weird surprise because like they're not doing the best, but it's more of a surprise kind of like performance-wise by like a couple players too. It is the Minnesota Timberwolves because they are 8-9. So it's not like they're doing crazy good. However, they just won their last 4 in a row. And it's more for performances like Anthony Edwards and Karl Anthony Towns. Anthony Edwards is averaging 22, 6, and 3, which is not a huge increase from last year because I'm pretty sure he averaged around 18 or a high teens. And you knew he was going to be a scorer coming into the league. However, he's getting more shots up, getting more minutes, and his field goal and 3-point percentage are increasing. Not by a tremendous amount, but that still shows that it's not just he's getting more shots up. That's why he's scoring more. He's becoming more efficient. And if you see some of his highlights on Instagram Sports Center, you could just see that he's going to be he's a franchise type player. And someone the Timberwolves desperately needed to pair with Karl Anthony Towns because Wiggins wasn't really doing it. And I see as Anthony Edwards, he's going to draw more attention to him, which opens up Karl Anthony Towns more. And now Karl Anthony Towns is shooting a career high from 3. He's 13th in player efficiency, averaging 23 a game, which is Karl Anthony Towns has been averaging 20 plus a game for basically his whole career. But he's becoming more efficient because of Anthony Edwards drawing pressure off. They're getting wins. There's a lot more buzz around them. Before it was just the Timberwolves, barely saw them on Instagram. You rarely saw them on Sports Center. They're not good. So I'm not saying they're going to make the playoffs this year. I'm just saying that they got something to look forward to, and it's not just, another year, another losing season. They have something to watch and got excited for. And Anthony Edwards, he could start becoming an all-star star for this league. So watch out for him.
I'm sorry I took your surprise in Scotty Barnes, but we talked about before the show, before we hit the record button, we knew that was bound to happen. So we try to keep it a little as much real as we can, so we don't have like scripted responses to each other. So I liked your third and final surprise. I think
I would like to point out kind of like another guy that we just didn't talk about. Me and Pete, similar to Scotty Barnes, me and Pete, we weren't high on him in the draft. We honestly thought he would suck. It's Franz Wagner. He's averaging good, like 13 points per game. I did not expect that at all. I thought he'd be kind of irrelevant, to be honest. But I mean, good for him. We're wrong. So
I think
props.
we put out a tweet right around the NBA draft. Have two of the most. We each had like categories of like best player in the draft, etc. I think we put either. I think it was the title was overrated. I think you had Barnes, and I think I had a Franz Wagner, and I was like, I hated. I didn't hate the guy. I just thought there was no potential there.
Yeah, I agree.
We've seen players, and maybe this is our fault, not do great in college or not perform well, take a lot of shots, have the potential. I put in quotes because potential is a lot of bull crap half the time. And just excel in the NBA because they're in the right system and they got the right coaching. So a lot of good college players don't really do anything in the NBA. So it's very interesting how they do it sometimes. My third.
Who would have thought the college game we went to is going to have two of the top 5 rookie of the year candidates? You wouldn't have known.
I did not think that at all. No, that's actually because it was a great game because we were at the Sweet 16. We were there. It was fun.
But it wasn't like Michigan kind of destroyed.
Yeah. If you're a Michigan fan, it was great. But no, I loved your 3 surprises, even though I took one of them. My third and final surprise is Ja Morant of the Memphis Grizzlies. And this is less on the win-loss record because they're tinkering around 500 right now, battling for the playoff spot. But Ja Morant has taken over. One, he's the best player in that draft class. I think we kind of have to do it. I want to say Zion, but you got to be on the court. And I don't want to.
I'd say RJ over Zion as of right now.
Just at that point, I think Zion still could be better, but you gotta play basketball here. This is what you play to do. Ja Morant's the best player in on that draft class. And one, the Grizzlies are going to need to build around him, get more players because Jaren Jackson has been up and down this year. Not Chris Duarte is what's his name? The kid from Oregon. Dylan Brooks. He's been solid, but they don't have really a second star or a second good player. Mavericks have the same problem with Luka right now. So every team has that. It's tough. So the Grizzlies are going to have to get another piece to go with Ja. But Ja Morant, Jared, is averaging 25.5 points per game, 5.8 rebounds per game, and 7.0 assists per game. So his assist totals throughout his career has been tinkering around 7.3 assists, 7.4 assists, and 7.0 assists this year. So he's right around the 7 assist mark, like once again. His rebounds, his rookie year was 4, his second year was 4, and now he's up to 5.8, almost 6. So he's increased his rebounds about a rebound and a half, almost 2 rebounds a game. His steals were tinkering on 1 for both his first 2 years. Now he's at 1.6. So he's added another element to his game where he's actually defending. This is where it becomes very interesting. Rookie year, 17.8 points per game. Very good rookie year. Won the rookie of the year, obviously. Sophomore year, always a sophomore slump, but averaged 19.1 points per game. Had to increase. But he has jumped from 17.8 to 19 to now 25.5. He's turned into a bona fide scorer. Before, he was a good scorer that could make exciting plays. Now he is turning into a top 5 scoring point guard in the NBA. So I don't know if that's going to progress the whole year. And I'm not saying he's a top 5 point guard scorer in the NBA. But what Ja Morant has done to his game, he's added an outside shot. He's been more efficient. And you would think with less people around him, it would be harder because obviously defenses are going to be focusing on him, which they should be anyway. But Ja Morant going up from 17 to 19 to 25, increasing his steals, tinking around the same amount of assists. So it's not like Jared, he's increased his points per game and dropped his assists from 7 to 5. So he's still getting teammates involved. And he's also add a couple rebounds to his game. So Ja Morant, I know that they're not winning a ton of games. I'm gonna pull up their.
They're actually not doing too bad. They're like.
Oh, you know what? They're 8. I'm wrong. They're 9-8, and they're 6 in the.
Yeah, 6 in the East.
As of obviously November 23rd. So they're tinkering around 500 right now. They were in the playing game last year. And obviously they were in the playoffs last year. So they have a shot to be back in the playoffs this year. But Ja Morant, one of the best players this year. He might. I don't know if you give him most improved because he was already very good. I think that's a tough ask, but
but I mean, I don't think it's about how good you were. It's about how much you improved. And this is what, a 6-point increase.
That's a lot. That's a big jump.
Yeah. Especially like when you increase from 19 to 25, it's a big difference than say 6 to 12. You know what I mean?
Exactly. And you also have, he has a shot. Obviously, it's been 15, 20 games to make his first All-Star appearance. And we know from years and years, West, it's tougher to make the All-Star game in the West and the East, especially. It's also tougher to make in the sense of guards because it's a guard-driven league.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you got Steph Curry, you got Russell Westbrook, you got Chris Paul, Devin Booker. The list goes on in the West, and not just the West, but the East. So it's a guard-driven league. So John Morant, I don't know if he'll get it because he's not the popular vote, which kind of stinks.
Mm-hmm.
But what he's done this year, he automatically deserves to be.
I think
considered an All-Star selection.
Well, yeah, we have seen Bradley Beal averaging like 29.
And not get it.
Yeah, so I was just gonna say if he's averaging 25, he's probably in, but
you never know.
We've seen that doesn't happen.
Well, if he plays like this, he could be like an All NBA third team, 100%. Like,
yeah,
because the vote that's when they usually get it right. The guys that watch the games, the voters, like the reporters, the writers, they get that. Not always, right? There's always arguing.
Yeah,
people disagree, but that's always like.
Yeah, I agree.
A legit list when it comes to all NBA teams. The All-Star games are hit or miss.
Yeah, but I do like that. I like Ja a lot, and it's good to see him take that next level because I think we all saw it coming. Like we knew Ja was talented since his rookie year, but 25 points per game score is like a different level than most. It just shows that you're not just like a dunker, not just an athletic point guard. You could score. You know,
like Miles Bridges.
Exactly.
To a different extent, but yes.
Yeah.
Now we're moving on to the sad part of the NBA. If you guys agreed or disagreed with any of our surprises, drop a comment. Also drop one of your surprises if we didn't mention them or if you agree with us. Disappointments, Jess. So we're going to give about 2 to 3 disappointments. It's sad part because obviously teams are not living up to expectations or players are not living up to expectations. So Jared, give me your first disappointment of the NBA season.
So my first disappointment is a guy that a lot of NBA fans have high hopes for. They expect him to be a superstar one day. And I always liked them, but I didn't think superstar level, respectively. Last year, it's Michael Porter Jr. from the Denver Nuggets. Last year, he averaged 19 points per game, which is in his second year, which is pretty remarkable. 7 rebounds and 1.1 assists. This year, he's averaging 10 points per game, 6.6 rebounds and 1.9 assists. So it's basically pretty much a decrease in everything except assists but that's still around 2-1, so it's not a huge thing. But yeah, it's a big part. It's a 9-point decrease in points per game. And this category, the points per game, is something that he was known for. He was going to be a scorer, not necessarily a playmaker. However, alongside Jokic, he was going to be that second, third scorer with Jamal Murray. However, this year, he just 10 points per game decrease. I mean, a 9 points per game decrease is pretty substantial, especially after he just got a 5-year, $172 million extension. So you're paying this guy that type of money, and then he drops his points per game decrease by 9, and his rebounds too. And yeah, this is just a guy that everyone was expecting to hit that superstar level eventually in his career. He has the frame, the tools, he could shoot lights out. But I don't know, this year he's just slumping really bad. And yeah, this is just a really big disappointment for a lot of NBA fans because hopefully it doesn't continue this downward spiral and he bounces back. It's only early in the year, so maybe he's just slumping for this beginning of the year. However, there's a big decrease, and for someone that a lot of fans had high hopes for and saw him becoming a star in the future, especially that money the Nuggets just gave him. So if he's going to be averaging 10 points per game on 5-year, $172 million contracts, pretty bad get for the Nuggets.
You took mine. You took my first disappointment, but you know what? Let's talk about it more because I don't have a fourth one like you did. So why not?
Okay.
I agree. Like you said, 9.9 points per game, 6.6, and this was my first surprise. So why not talk a little bit more? I don't know if you mentioned this, but I think you did. 5 years, 145 million contract. That was 145 million guaranteed. That contract can reach to 175, JR.
Yeah.
You don't pay a guy to do that for 9.9 points per game. Obviously, it's early in the year. The problem is did you give him the contract too early? And I'd say like, oh, Peter and Jared, hindsight's 50-50, obviously. But I always thought the contract was a little too early. I like the potential, but I didn't see a need to like drop the bag on the guy. And they probably thought, you know, we need a third player, right? We got Jokic, bona fide superstar. Jamal Murray, a solid NBA point guard, needs to stay healthy. And we need a third because when NBA, you got to have 3 really good players. And they thought he was going to be a third. And I think the bright lights are a little too much. 9.9 points per game is unreal.
And I would like to add, he's at shooting 36% from the field and 20% from 3, which is pretty.
That's horrible.
Yeah.
The 35% you can't even live with that. But I guess
it's like that's a slump.
That's
then the 20% you're just bricking threes, you know, and you're shooting
good. You're just not good. That's the definition. It gives if you should, Jared, if we did like a blind stat, you know, like you sometimes go on Instagram or Twitter, you see like we'll put this to get rid of the bias because there's bias in sports, right? You see the game and you automatically think he's a great player.
Yeah.
And we all say this, like, oh, so and so is great. Not in the NBA, any sport, because he's great. You know what I mean? Like his name is great.
Yeah.
But if you look at the stats per game, this guy who you don't think is as good is better than. If you put Michael Porter Jr. stats up, right? This year's stats, and you had no name, no like colors, nothing, like just his stats.
Yeah.
And so you guess how much his contract is.
It'll probably say like 2 years, 12 million.
Yeah, and you would ask the person what type of player is it? Solid role player that is inefficient.
Yeah,
inefficient. Can't shoot the 3, but you can see the potential in the rebounds, and you can see the height, the potential, the age, because he's young. No, his contract is 5 years, $145 million. That's guaranteed. That contract can reach up to $175 million. He hits incentives, which doesn't look like he's gonna. But that's a lot of money. I don't know what the math is. I'm breaking out the phone. What do you know what that division is right there, Jared?
What? I think it's around.
That's
30.
$29 million a year.
Yeah, 30 around.
That's 145. Obviously, I think it's a little more than 145. Divided by 5.
If it was 170 something, it'd probably be like 35.
If it was 175, as we're breaking out the old hefty calculator, divided by 5, we're stupid. That's 35.
Yeah. And then this is
we're talking
I said 35. And this is also when you're talking about that extension, we thought it was a little early. This is a guy who struggled with injuries throughout his whole career. His back, it's not good. So to give him that much guaranteed money, like it's a little questionable.
And like obviously ACLs, like Jamal Murray, that's normal in the NBA.
Yeah, that's you can't prepare for that.
People also come back totally fine from that now.
Yeah.
Like it's so normal that the science from like 10 years ago has changed. And like it's kind of like people like, tear your ACL, we'll be back in a year. Sucks that you miss for a year, but you usually come back and you're usually fine. You know what I mean?
Most of the time, yeah.
A back injury is not a quick fix. What do you get? It's hard to get back surgery.
Back injury is going to last your whole career, kind of. You can't fix that.
Back should be screwed your whole life. I know that sounds kind of harsh, but obviously, if you don't play basketball, your back's going to be fine. Obviously, basketball is the reason your back hurts when you're doing obviously physical activity. That doesn't just go away overnight. And now, what does he have? A nerve damage?
Yeah, something like
that. Doesn't sound funny.
I didn't even know about that, honestly.
He's injured.
Oh.
Do a Google search, a little prompt Google search.
Oh, report Michael Porter Jr. can miss season with back injury.
Was it nerve? Was I just totally wrong on that?
Yeah, he does have a nerve issue though.
That doesn't sound.
That's jeopardizing the season.
That doesn't sound like a quick. Like, how do you like fix a nerve injury? I'm not a doctor, obviously. I have no idea.
Yeah. So.
Like ACL, I know you go get surgery in your rehab. Like it's.
That's probably why it's lasting the whole year. Because they like, what the hell did we do? Like.
Now you're stuck with him because $145 million is $145 million. He's getting every single cent of that.
I think when the Nuggets,
guaranteed,
when they were doing like number one in the West, they were kind of feeling themselves a little bit like, oh, we got Jokic, we got Jamal. I mean, Jamal got hurt, but they're like, oh, Michael Porter, like he could be really good. And just lock him in now. We're a good team right now. How bad could it be? And now they're gonna see. They could have picked up someone better in free agency.
I
know he's young and he's got potential.
I like him.
No, I like him too.
I like him too. I always liked him. And I always thought he could be very good. I was
never like huge on him though. Like I'm like, oh, he's a good player. Like
Yeah,
he could be really good. But when I saw him, it was just him kind of like chucking threes. Um,
now he's bricking.
I'm not saying I didn't like him. He's a good player. He could be a superstar. But I just think, he's a big disappointment this year, and you agree.
Okay, my second disappointment. I'll kind of start with this is a team, and that's the New Orleans Pelicans. They're 3-16 as of November 23rd, and they're 14th in the Western Conference. Yes, I know. All your Zion fans, he's not playing. Doesn't mean they have to be 3-16.
Yeah.
Like, that's just not what we're asking for here. Brandon Ingram, once again, can't stay healthy. I feel like it's an every year thing where he's not out for like a serious injury, but there's these stupid lingering injuries, like an ankle, a knee, whatever. You know what I mean? That like misses a handful of games here or there, and they add up over the years. And
ends up being like 20 games.
Yeah, he's played 12 out of the 19 possible games, averaging 21 points per game. He's doing good, but their second leading scorer is Jonas Valanciunas, averaging 19. So he's had a solid year, but Jonas Valanciunas, like I don't want to knock the guy. He's a solid NBA center, but he's not your second best player. You have Devontae Graham averaging 15. You got Nico Alexander-Walker, who Virginia Tech, who's actually taken a very nice step after his first couple of years. He's averaging 14.6. But they're not good. And I know their GM, David Griffin, he's on the hot seat. Who's their head coach? Is their head coach still
I think they fired Van Gundy.
Not Van Gundy?
I think they fired him, I believe, but it could be.
Because he was there for 1 year if he got fired.
Yeah.
Is it Van Gundy?
No, it is Willie Green.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, sure. We'll go with that one. See, that's how much the Pelicans are just irrelevant. Like they're destined to be another top 5 pick.
Yeah, and I feel like you mentioned like Ingram is doing well, but when's he gonna take that next step?
He has been
like he decreased in points per game.
He's been averaging like 20, 21 points per game for school, which is very good.
Yeah. Like
the problem is
he was young.
I want to say, I know this is maybe an asterisk next to them, and that we could revisit it at the end of the year if Zion comes back, but it doesn't look like he's coming back anytime soon. And you're at the point where he comes back. If you wait another 10 games, season's over.
Yeah.
You're 3-20. You're 4-20. I don't care if LeBron James is coming back. That's 16 games just to get to 500.
Yeah.
Right now,
you need to be over 500, probably make the playoffs.
You're 13 games under 500. So you got to win 13 games without losing any just to get back to 500.
Yeah. And even when Zion does come back, I mean, he's a guy who you got to expect him not to play a whole year, or he's going to struggle with injuries. I feel like throughout his career. So like you got to prepare for that as well. Build a team, not just around him, but that could win without him, You
also got to remember it takes time people come back from injuries.
And you got to remember he's like what, third year in the league.
Yeah. And he also needs to like slowly get back into like the rhythm of the game. It's different than just watching or practicing.
Yeah, you don't just jump back in there like I'm back.
No. And the Pelicans had higher expectations than like the Rockets, the Pistons, the Magic, the Thunder, whoever, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like the bottom teams, and they're 3-16. So sorry, Pelicans fans. It's not getting much better. I think David Griffin, the GM, I heard he was on the hot seat. I read he was on the hot seat. He's probably his seat is kind of warm right now.
Yeah, I agree.
Jared, who's your second disappointment?
So my second disappointment is a superstar in this league. He just hasn't been as efficient or playing up to his standards. So it's not like he's playing terrible comparative to other players in the league. But that's Damian Lillard. I see you're smiling over there. You probably had him as well. Last year, he averaged 28 points per game, 29 points per game, 4 rebounds, 7.5 assists, which is really good numbers. Dame, we've seen him. It's a proven player in this league. But this year, he's taken a big drop. This year, he's only averaging 21.6 points per game, 4 rebounds, and then 8 assists. And scoring is one of Dame's biggest attributes. He could score the heck out of the ball, score anywhere on the court, basically, even from half court. And he's a guy on this Trailblazers team that he needs to do well in order for them to win. I mean, I think they're 5th in the West right now, 5th or 7th in the West. So they're not doing terrible, but it's only early in the year. And if he continues to struggle, this can be trouble for the Trailblazers. But other than his points per game, it's more he's having career low shooting percentages. He's averaging around 39% from the field, and then which really is dropping is 29% from 3. And in his career, he's been averaging around 37%. So that's basically like almost a 10-point decrease in 3-point percentage from his career, which is for today's league and a part of Dame's game. If he's not shooting well from 3, that's going to cause him to decrease that points average, and he's going to be less prominent for an opposing team with the defensive schemes because he's not shooting. We don't have to guard him at like half court, or we don't have to guard him face up right by 3 because that's one of his big moments of his game. He's going to hit big shots. So when he's not spacing the floor like that, it's going to be hard for the Trailblazers. He's also 65th in player efficiency, which for a normal player, it's not bad. Honestly, could be good. But for Damian Lillard, who we consider, I don't know, top 15, top 20 in the league, at least, 65th in player efficiency is not good, especially when he's just a pure scorer and someone who's a very efficient scorer usually, especially averaging like around 7.5 assists. The efficiency should be up there, especially for his team because, like I've said, I mentioned it multiple times, he's the face of the Trailblazers. He's the heart and soul of the Trailblazers. So if he's not performing this year, that's where I end this part. Will it be the end for Dame in Portland? Or will it mean he's not going to go places because he doesn't look as attractive as he once did, even though it's just a slump? I'm going worst case scenario here. He could just, after today, start going off, averaging 36 points per game on 50% shooting. But as of right now, who knows? So, yeah, he's a disappointment this year.
That was my, once again, no worries, third and final disappointment. So, once again, like Michael Porter Jr., let's talk about it. Because I don't have another third, right? You know what? I know we're supposed to each have our own 3, but if we go into a couple detail more than we usually, then there's no worry. Damian Lillard, Jared, as you were talking, I looked it up. This is his lowest points per game since 2014, 2015.
Yeah.
And that was his third year in that game.
Third year.
And at the point, and I like you went through all the stats, you went through everything perfectly. And I like the point of where the Blazers have been a middle of the pack to the end of the pack Western Conference team.
Yeah.
For years, except for the one run when they went to the Western Conference Finals and obviously eventually lost to the Golden State Warriors. Like, what are we doing here?
And in that run, it was Damian Lillard just going absolutely bananas.
Yes.
You know,
they're 7th in the West. They're 9-8. So once again, they're tinking around 500. Like, sounds like a stupid question, but like, what are we doing here? We've been doing the same thing for years and years. And always the rumor has been, we got to get McCollum out. We got to get someone else in. I'm not saying get Dame out. That's not what I'm doing, but you're going to have to do something.
Yeah.
You want to rebuild the whole team? I don't know if you want to do that.
Because you have a franchise player who can get you to the finals.
So that means you got to get Dame something.
Yeah.
Because McCollum's a great player. I think
the thing is, what do you pair with Dame?
Like a Bradley Beal? Does a Bradley Beal doesn't work? I don't think that works.
I feel like that's like the same player, almost. You know what I'm saying? Like, do you pair another scorer? Do you pair a shooter? Do you pair a big man that's dominant? Like,
I think DeMar DeRozan would have fit perfectly.
Then I feel like DeMar DeRozan is very similar to CJ McCollum. Obviously, he's probably better, a lot better.
You're right. So what about a better big man? What about like Cat? I know this is like reaching.
Like a Cat, that's a possibility. Yeah.
Or you go for Ben Simmons and have like Dame kind of put now like in a Ben Simmons one.
I mean, it could work. it's just not something I'd see fitting
Maybe
together.
you need more shooters.
Yeah.
You also probably need a better big. And I think I think that partnership or that duo has kind of run its time.
Yeah, I agree.
But you see their ceiling.
Yeah.
Middle of the pack Western Conference team, max, except for that one run bounce in the second round.
Mhm.
You got to get better than that when you have Damian Lillard.
Yeah. And so that's where I posed the question.
He's been in the league since 2012, 2013.
If you do get a big package for Dame, picks, maybe another star player, do you take it?
But who's the star player? Do you want to, like, if you're just getting picks and like young players, do you really?
It's basically like you're getting a good player who's gonna win you some games, but like you're rebuilding.
Do you want to rebuild, or do you need to rebuild? Because in the NBA, you can have a quick fix.
This team has been like this for too long. I don't think there's a quick.
You don't think like shipping off Nurkic and McCollum in 2 separate packages is a quick fix? Like, you don't think they could get what they want back? And
I don't think there's not very readily available stars right now in this league. Like, I don't think Timberwolves are going to trade Cat for Nurkic.
No.
You know, like there's no one that's.
They got to wait.
Zion, but
they got to wait for the next disgruntled star. And obviously that's Ben Simmons, and I don't want to put the star label next to him.
Yeah. So
Kyrie Irving?
Nets aren't trading him. They're going to win now. Who are they?
The problem is he needs to get this is going to go political, but he needs to get obviously vaccinated in order to play.
Yeah.
Portland,
but they might change in the next couple of weeks by Christmas.
But in Portland, you don't have to.
Yeah, that's true. So, I
don't know if that would work. That's kind of like Klay Thompson would be perfect. Obviously, he's not going anywhere.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like Klay Thompson would be perfect. He play off the ball.
I think Jimmy Butler would have been great if they went after him when he was a free agent.
Yeah.
It's another alpha dog. You have 2 alpha dogs, and you got Nurkic, bye-bye McCollum, and you have Dame.
I think what Dame needs is just the best beta dog you get, you know?
I think Dame and Jimmy would be great together in the Western Conference.
Yeah, I guess they pair off each other. They're not the same.
And Jimmy knows that. I don't know. Jimmy went to what has been in the NBA Finals.
Well, they both want to win badly.
Yeah, so you don't want to get a guy that doesn't care about winning. He's at his point. Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown. If they decide to pair off Jaylen Brown,
I can see Jaylen Brown
because
I can see that.
They have thought about moving.
That would be good pairing. They're not trading Tatum.
No, I meant Brown. I'm looking at like the NBA, like Pascal Siakam. If the Raptors ever wanted to move on, no, I don't. Pacers if they want to like trade off Sabonis.
Yeah, that would be a good get, but I think they'd still need like a McCollum on that team. I could see Sabonis, McCollum, and Lillard. That would be a pretty good deal.
Yeah, I actually would like that. I would like that. Okay, just trade for Sabonis. Easier said than done. But yeah, that's my third and final disappointment.
And yeah, like that's just as of now. Damian Lillard could literally go off the rest of the year.
10 straight games, and we'd be so.
It's not like we're wrong. Just right now, at this point, he's disappointing, and he's not playing well. And I think he knows that. He'd be the first guy to say so.
That's what I said the date multiple times. November 23rd, because I don't want to see a cut. No offense, people. I love you guys. We always appreciate you guys listening and commenting and liking and doing everything. We always appreciate it. But obviously, there's haters and there's people commenting. I don't want to hear we post a video in a couple of days. Oh, he just had 2 great games. How the heck are we supposed to know that? Like,
yeah,
we're supposed to like just redo the
or that like you're insinuating that we're projecting he's gonna have a bad year.
No.
You just might trade him. Yeah,
this appointment's up to today, this morning at 11:27 a.m. in Westchester, New York. That's like really okay, yeah. To wrap up this video, third and final disappointment.
So my third and final is a team. It is the Atlanta Hawks. So they're currently 11th in the East at 9-9. Which, as of right now, they're not even in the playoff game. And this is a team that went to the Eastern Conference Finals last year. And I didn't have them hitting the same standards this year, at least in the regular season. However, I did not expect them to not even be in the playoff picture right now. Some key losses, they lost to the Cavs and the Pistons. But to their defense, like a lot of their regular season losses have came to upper tier teams and playoff contending teams. So that is possibly a reason for them having this early slump, along with they've had injury concerns with Capella, Hoyter, and Onkongwu, Big O. So that also can be a contributing factor to why they're having early season struggles. But however, a lot of they're 27th in defensive efficiency, and you can kind of tell based off their star player, like they're a good offensive team, but as of right now, their defense trash. And Trae Young is a contributor to that. Really good scorer. He can score the hell out of the ball. However, he's not known for his defense, as I'll say. And here's a stat. Out of 50 players who have defended the ball handler at least 500 pick and roll actions this season, Trae Young ranks 49th in allowing 1.1 points per chance on those plays. So he's ranking basically 50th out of 49 other point guards or ball handlers, people who defend the ball handler, I mean. So that's not good. And that just shows that their defense should be a priority and is not good. And that's probably why they're losing a ton of games along with the injuries. So it's not just, we have injuries. No, you got to fix your defense first. And that's just not going to fly, especially if you're allowing, say, like 120, 130 points per game against. And however, they have won 4 straight. So who knows? Maybe they're back on track. But as of right now, there's a bit of disappointment. There's a team that you're looking for another possible. If you're a Hawks fan, you're looking for another run in the playoffs, possibly make the finals. You're not looking to not make the playoffs, so they'll figure it out. I'm not worried with them. I wouldn't be worried if you're a Hawks fan, but as of now, a little frustrating.
Yeah, just a quick note on that. I agree. I didn't think the Hawks were going to be Eastern Conference Finals bound again, but they were top 5 in the East last year, so I thought they were going to be tinkering around top 5 in the East once again. Obviously they're not. They're out of a playoff picture, but long season. The defense concerns me because there's not a quick fix on that. Like there's not a really quick fix, and they struggled with defense last year. And Trae Young is not a defender at all, so I think that's the biggest concern. The offense will come and it will get better and they'll win games, but in order to win this league, you got to be somewhat attractive on defense. And right now, they're completely not. So I like that. I like that final disappointment.
Thank you.
Yeah, guys, if you guys agree or disagree with any of our disappointments or you want to drop your own disappointment, you can comment down below. So that was our surprises and disappointments of the NBA season. Also, guys, we're going to be dropping, I know we've been a little lackluster on the videos. Jared and I've been at school. We're still at school. Obviously, we're home for Thanksgiving break, but we come back for school for a couple more weeks and then we'll come back for Christmas break. We'll do a college football playoff video. We're going to have one of our friends on, Ryan Matson. He's very knowledgeable, as you're giving us a little smile there, on college football. So he's going to come on. We're going to talk some college football. When the playoff is announced, we'll break down the 4 teams. We'll give you our predictions for that and who all 3 of us think are going to win the college football playoff. We'll do some NFL playoff predictions as well as that starts coming. NCAA basketball, all that stuff. And yeah, that's it, Jerry. Anything else you got to say before we say goodbye?
No, yeah, we're definitely going to try to get more content out, especially on social media platforms. And please comment. I mean, please, we beg you to subscribe. Almost there. Just do us a favor. Yeah. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed.
Guys, until next time, this was our NBA surprises and our NBA disappointments so far, about a quarter way into the season. This was Talking Sports Podcast with Peter DiBiasi and John Rocco Trumpbour. Have a good rest of your day.